All right, let's dive into the story of a guy who didn't just play a game. He completely reinvented what it means to be a genius. And this isn't really about chess. It's about strategy, it's about clarity, and it's about this radical idea that the strongest move you can make is almost always the simplest one.
This one idea, it's the key to everything. You know, we're taught that being brilliant means seeing this giant tangled web of a million possibilities. But what if real mastery is the exact opposite? What if it's about having the vision to see the one single clean path right through all that noise? Well, that was the world of José Raúl Capablanca.
Okay, I want you to picture this moment. It's 1921, you're in Havana, and you're up against Emanuel Lasker, a man who'd been world chess champion for an insane 27 years. This guy was a titan of complexity, a master of chaos. And everyone, the whole world, expected Capablanca to jump into that chaos and fight him calculation for calculation. But he didn't. He made a different choice. He decided he wasn't going to outcalculate the legend. He was going to out-simplify him. He basically decided to find the exit while everyone else was still admiring the maze.
And that single choice is what gave birth to this, the Capablanca System. Look, this is way more than just a chess strategy. It's a full-blown philosophy. It's this disciplined, systematic belief that your real advantage isn't about how much complexity you can handle, but how much you can ruthlessly and purposefully ignore. It's the art of making something incredibly difficult look, well, not just easy, but totally inevitable.
So to really get how this system works, we've got to unpack the man himself. We're going to start with what he called the prison of talent. Then we'll dig into the logic of less, which is the fortress he built against the world's obsession with being complicated. We'll reverse engineer how he won, see how he became the human chess machine, and then we're going to bring it all home and figure out how your simplicity as code applies to, well, us.
So everything really kicks off with a paradox. How can an unbelievable gift, pure natural genius, also be a kind of prison? Let's dig into how the friction from his own talent actually created his entire worldview.
You gotta understand, this isn't just a list of dates. It's a map of a mind at war with the world. It starts in Havana. Get this, as a 4-year-old kid, nobody taught him chess. He just watched his dad play. And one day, his dad makes a move, and this little 4-year-old just laughs. When they ask him why, he points out a mistake his father made. He had soaked up the entire logic of the game just by watching. No books, no lessons, he just saw it. Now, fast forward, this same brain, a brain that sees the answer instantly, is at Columbia University studying engineering. And he felt like he was suffocating under all the busy work, these tedious formulas and steps that his brain had already solved. The world kept telling him, show your work, but to him, the work was just noise.
And that's the core problem, right there. His genius wasn't just a gift, it was a cage. He was an outsider in a world that didn't just want the right answer. It wanted to see the long, complicated, painful struggle to get there. The world celebrated the grind. It celebrated the busy work. But for Capablanca, all of that was just a soul-crushing waste of time that got in the way of the simple truth he could already see.
So you've got these two clashing worldviews. On one side, you have the grind. And we all know what this is, right? It's modern hustle culture, the obsession with showing the work, this idea that your value is tied to how much you struggle. And then on the other side, you have the shortcut. And let's be clear, this isn't about being lazy. It was his radical belief that real power comes from efficiency, from having the mental discipline to just ignore what doesn't matter. This wasn't just a frustration for him, it's what forged his entire philosophy. He basically made a choice. If the world wasn't going to let him be, he was going to find undeniable power in being efficient.
So, when you're faced with a world that just loves complexity, what do? Well, he didn't just complain. He pretty much declared war on inefficiency itself. He built this philosophical fortress, a mindset designed to protect his clarity. So, let's look at the bricks he used to build it.
This was his mantra, his North Star. It was a total rejection of this romantic idea that you have to struggle to be brilliant or that being complex means you're smart. For Capablanca, the truth was simple. It was clean. It was logical. And everything else, it was just noise getting in the way.
So the first brick in this fortress is what we can call logical essentialism. It's this core belief that most people don't lose to their opponent, they lose to the complexity they create for themselves. You know that project at work that's completely stuck? Is it really impossible, or is it just buried under a mountain of meetings and emails? Capablanca knew we build our own prisons of overthinking. The chessboard for him was just a laboratory to find the path of least resistance.
The second brick was this deep respect for what we'll call radical economy. Today we talk about decision fatigue. This guy was living this idea 100 years ago. He knew that your mental energy isn't an infinite well. It's like a battery. And every single second you spend on a useless calculation, every bit of brain power you waste on a flashy move that doesn't matter is a strategic loss. He'd watch his opponents just burn themselves out while he saved his energy, waiting for that one key moment where a clear, rested mind was always going to beat a tired, complicated one.
And the third pillar was positional clarity. This is the idea that the quality of your work, your strategy, your life really, is defined not by what you add, but by what you take away. It's the belief that your real value is measured by how much noise you can cut through. His goal was never to make the most brilliant move. It was to make the most natural move, the one that just flowed from the simple logic of the board, knowing that brute force would eventually just shatter against the simple power of truth.
Okay, but a philosophy is just a bunch of nice words without a system, right? And this is where Capablanca's genius really takes off. He didn't just think simplicity was a good idea, he actually reverse-engineered it into a step-by-step system for winning.
His method was completely counterintuitive. In a world where chess masters were obsessed with studying complex opening moves, Capablanca famously just didn't. He did the exact opposite. He started at the end. He became an absolute master of the endgame, the part of the game with the fewest pieces, where the logic is the purest. Because once you master the destination, the path to get there becomes obvious. That chaotic, messy middle part of the game where everyone else got lost, to him, it was just a temporary fog before the logical conclusion he'd already figured.
His other secret weapon was a way to build what we can call rhythmic intuition. He would play these simultaneous matches, taking on dozens of opponents at the same time. I mean, just picture him, walking down a long line of chessboards, making a move on each one with terrifying speed in just seconds. This wasn't just showing off, it was a training system. By forcing himself to move that fast, he was training his brain to stop overthinking and to just trust its first, most logical instinct. He was literally hardwiring his mind to feel the rhythm of logic.
And the result? What happens when you use this radical system of starting at the end and trusting your gut? You get this number, 8. For 8 straight years, from 1916 to 1924, in the golden age of chess, José Raúl Capablanca did not lose a single tournament game. Not one. I mean, let that sink in. In a game of pure intellect, he was invincible. The so-called lazy kid who refused to do the work had built a system of simplicity that made him unbeatable.
A streak like that, well, it makes you a legend. People started calling him the human chess machine. But his real legacy isn't just about the wins. It's about how his system completely changed the idea of what a genius even looks like. He didn't just master the game, he rewrote its DNA.
I mean, just look at this transformation. He goes from being this frustrated outsider at Columbia to becoming the architect of modern chess itself, a style all based on simple, long-term advantages, not flashy tricks. His real legacy was just blowing up the myth that harder is better. He proved that effortless genius isn't about laziness, it's a structural weapon, a deliberate system that influenced generations of champions, from Bobby Fischer to Anatoly Karpov, who all studied his simple games to understand their hidden depth.
And this is where the story stops being about him and starts being about us. Because this is not just a history lesson. Capablanca's journey is a powerful guide for anyone today who feels like they are drowning in complexity. So let's take his system off the chessboard and see how we can use it. Okay, the first lesson is a huge mindset shift. We have to realize that our greatest power isn't in our ability to juggle 1,000 different things, to just endlessly calculate every outcome. That's a losing game. Real power is in your ability to step back, cut through all the noise, and just see the essential problem in front of you. It's time to stop being a calculator and start being a visionary. So here's your call to action, your first move. This week, find one thing, just one, that you've been overthinking. Could be a project at work, a tough conversation, a personal goal. And I want you to apply his method. Start at the end. Ask yourself one simple question. What is the simplest, most direct path to finishing this? Not the most impressive path, not the one that involves the most people, the most direct one. Because when you find clarity, you stop being a victim of the noise and you start becoming the architect of the result. And I want to leave you with this last thought. We're all operating inside of systems, at work, in our lives, in our own heads. And what Capablanca taught us is that every single one of those systems has a shortcut. And it's not about cheating, it's about clarity. Your unique ability to simplify, to find that direct path while everyone else is lost in the weeds, that is the code that unlocks your greatness.
So, as you go through your week, I just want you to think about this question. In your career, in your life, what is the one clear, simple, logical move that you already know is the right one, but you've been avoiding it?
Maybe because it feels too easy or not impressive enough. Maybe it's time to trust that clarity. Maybe it's time to play it.